Welcome to Jimmy Harper's ITEC8120 research presentation. So what was the main purpose and the main problem that I hope to accomplish with this research? One, I work for the University System of Georgia at an institution, so I was definitely interested in looking a little more in depth at some of their IT policies, also how they handle compliance and the different ways they may handle legal issues. The reason I wanted to do this is cyber attacks is something that is very prevalent in higher ed across the nation, and it's something that I have to take into account with what I do, and just wanted to take a deeper look at the policies that may help and affect those with the USG. Also, with compliance issues, there's a lot of initiatives going on right now that are in the state of Georgia and also around the nation. So just kind of curious of a little bit more of how the USG handles compliant issues, and especially from an audit standpoint. And then also legal situations. Unfortunately, we do have those that come up, and fortunately, the USG does have a legal affairs office that can help provide guidance and advice for institutions and other entities that may need that. With all these things, with IT policies, with trying to make sure that we're in compliance with certain issues, and then also just making sure we have fair and just laws that we all attempt to follow, we're looking to mitigate human vulnerabilities. We're trying to make sure people understand the right way to do something, so if they encounter an issue, they know how to navigate it and hopefully mitigate a situation. So as I mentioned, the University System of Georgia is somewhere where I work, and that's the entity that I chose to look at as I went through their various policies and procedures. As I look through the various policies and procedures that the University System of Georgia has out there, readily available on the website, and was doing some research, looking at some various references that could connect with what I was looking at, I kept coming back to a culture of awareness and compliance. It's something that I feel at my core needs to be in place for an organization to be successful, and especially when it comes to helping people understand policies and procedures and what they need to be doing. It has to be a top-down approach. It has to be a standard that is set by the leadership and create that culture. As most people have seen in their lifetime, they look for a feeling of security. They want to know they belong to something. They want to know they're safe. They want to know they're protected. And I feel like the University System of Georgia does a great job actually with that, of just working with their employees, trying to ensure they know that they're in a supported and safe environment, and that we're doing our best to take care of ourselves and take care of our students. To accomplish this, the IT handbook is very, very thorough. It is something that the University System of Georgia has spent a lot of years on, and they are constantly going out there and revamping it, because as you can imagine, technology never slows down, and there's always things to reconsider as new technologies emerge and regulations change. Also with internal audits, that's one of the challenges that they face as well. The Department of Internal Audits for the University System office is challenged with looking at a lot of different areas that pertain to higher ed, and they're a small shop right now. I've worked with them several times over the years with various audits and various different roles with financial aid, enrollment, IT, and other cybersecurity situations, but they have a hard job there trying to make sure that we all stay in compliance with what we need to do. And then at the end of this is legal affairs, and fortunately that's an office that I've not had to spend a lot of time with. We do have to contact them at times to go through and review contracts for us, but spend a little time looking at their website and understanding them a little bit more, and how they interact with the rest of the USG, and how they can help with different employee matters, student matters, of course contracts. That's something I'm kind of familiar with, and then other legislations that may come up. But they're constantly bombarded with change as well, and that's something that I think is a common challenge that the USG and other organizations have, is constant change presents constant challenge. So information technology audits and legal affairs are always looking for what's coming next and how do they kind of handle and mitigate a situation. With all of this being said and what they have in place, and talking about culture, there comes a point where you need employee buy-in. And if you've got the leadership buying in, it's a lot easier to sell down the pipeline. And so if you can bring individuals that want to be a part of that environment, understand the need for policies and compliance, and get that true buy-in, it makes for a very well-rounded employee, and makes someone that can be a great human firewall. In the areas of recommendations, I think the University System of Georgia is definitely a very well-rounded organization. But I would say that with every department there, not just with compliance and IT policies and legal affairs, but every department just needs to remain vigilant whenever they're looking at how they process things, the policies they have in place, the personnel they're bringing in, and also the different vendors that they're working with. One recommendation that I would like to add to this, and it's something that they've already started, and I've seen some good success with it, but I definitely think it needs to be expanded. There's still work to do in this area, is web-based learning. They have spent some time creating some annual and biannual web-based trainings from the system level. I really like the fact that they have done that, and I highly recommend that as something they continue on, because if they can standardize it at a centralized point like that, then that means all 26 institutions, along with the libraries and other entities, are all receiving the same information during the same time frame, and it just really makes us a very cohesive unit. Also, with it being web-based, it definitely makes it easy to use because it's readily available, and it's very affordable. I mean, you can produce it one time, and it can be launched out to all the different employees at the institution. Students may even be a part of it as well. But that's where I went with my recommendation, is to enhance web-based learning and continue to bring in other areas, because most people want to do the right thing, and if you give employees a way to understand what that is, they will embrace it. One thing organizations have to do is determine what is their appetite for risk, because no matter what you do in business, you're never going to be 100% safe. And so you have to give employees a certain amount of access and leeway to do their jobs, and you have to figure out, like, well, where's my acceptable range at for this? And most risks are going to come from personnel. I mean, it could be just a failure in how they're handling something. It could be maybe they don't receive proper training. Maybe they're not being monitored in a certain way they need to be. So that's always a big consideration. And when I thought about this, I went more back to, well, what are some areas that may help resolve this issue? And I kind of went back more towards security policies with these, but I would want to explore with the University System of Georgia as a whole, is there a way to look at the implementation of security policies and try to help determine, do they really minimize threats? That can be enabled by employees. Is there a way to do that better, a way to deliver that information better, those type of things? And then the second form that I would kind of like to see done with this, to do some further research, is, and it's something I think they already do, is go out and look for best practices, but really do a full-scale research study of what are the best practices available out there to try to minimize those type of threats that can be enabled by employees, because I truly feel like if you can educate the human element, you have a great opportunity to minimize a lot of threats that may be out there. Organizations must always look for ways to minimize their risk. It's something that we deal with every day. The University System of Georgia and all its institutions are no exception to that. I think they have done a great job with their IT policies. They cover a lot of different areas, and they are constantly going out there and reviewing those as well. I think that is something they can continue to do. Also, with compliance, the Department of Audits also does a wonderful job of going through and looking at different areas. They try to help institutions and other entities understand why they're doing something the way they're doing it, and really try to make sure that we're protecting data and we're handling data the right way so that it maintains its integrity. And then also finally with legal, they're an entity, as I mentioned earlier, that I've relied on for contracts and various things along those lines, but they are stretched very thin with the different issues that may come up with them. But there again, I think they do a great job in trying to protect the University System of Georgia and are always looking for ways to do that better. And just finally, with this, I go back to the human equation. It's something that's always going to be there because you're going to have employees, and if you can manage your IT policies and perform compliance reviews and make sure people are aware of the laws and regulations you need to follow, you can have a well-run organization and have a chance to be successful. So I want to thank you for listening to my presentation. The last slide contains references that I used to create this presentation, and also the paper that goes with it. But thank you.